By definition, homophobia means dislike or prejudice against homosexual people. Merriam-Webster's dictionary states that it is an irrational fear of, aversion to, or discrimination against homosexuality or homosexuals. The term homophobia was first used in this context in 1969. Breaking down the word homophobia in two, homo is defined as any other group of hominids that includes modern humans and other extinct related species, such as Homo erectus and Homo habilis, aka man. Phobia is defined as an exaggerated, usually inexplicable and illogical fear of a particular object, class of objects, or situation. First known use, 1786. To put the two words homo and phobia back in their original context and together would mean that homophobia's original definition would be fear of man. I do not fear men, and I would also not say that that means that I don't like homosexuals. Raised by a Rastafarian father, I was told from young that homosexuality was not natural, but that didn't transform into hate or dislike for homosexuals, especially as people, as I grew older. But there are other reasons why I'm not a fan of it besides it not being natural. Racism and white supremacy uses homosexuality as one of their tools to keep the oppressed population, or blacks, oppressed as much as they can, by minimizing the male's self-esteem, negating and destroying their self-concepts, self-perception, and self-confidence. The reason why the males are focused on is because the oppressive captors expect more aggressive resistance from them than the females. Their goal is to keep the oppressed male as non-threatening as possible, so they may never even seek to liberate themselves from their oppression. Buck breaking was a practice used by slave owners to physically undermine the black captive male during American chattel slavery. A defiant male slave was beaten bloodily to a pulp, tied to a tree, and raped repeatedly in front of his family. His son, if he'd had one, would get the front row seat so that he may not want to meet this fate. See the movie Pulp Fiction for more. Pedophilia and pederasty, founded in Greco-Roman culture, speaks to the many philosophers, religious leaders, and politicians or upperclassmen who normally kept young men around them to sodomize them, essentially. In fact, Greco-Roman culture was based more around pedophilic homosexuality than adult sexuality. The North American Man-Boy Love Association, founded in 1978, aims to normalize this tradition today. I understand the history of Stonewall Plaza in 1969, where members of the homosexual community revolted against the police during a raid of the Stonewall Inn, leading to the single most important event in the liberation of homosexuals. This leads to today's worldwide acceptance of it, seemingly, with children's books written even. But I do not understand how gay can be perceived as the new black. The struggles are not the same. Whereas homosexuals want the freedom to practice a lifestyle or behavior, blacks have longed for the freedom and totality to be accepted as human beings. Equality and balance would mean seeing the 7 laws of Hermes or Thoth or Tahuti broken down in children's books to let them decide to grow who they want to be. And where are the posters of heterosexual black-on-black love next to the ads for plays like Hedwig and the Angry Inch in New York City subways, or 2 visually hip-hop-centered black men in Embrace? The 5th law, gender, reads, "Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes." This is to say, even in homosexual relationships, as masculine and feminine are not necessarily opposites, but shades of one gender. There is a masculine, where one woman of 2 dating may exhibit more characteristics emotionally and visually of a male, and there is a feminine, where one man of 2 dating may exhibit more characteristics of a woman, from his style of dress to his mannerisms. I have never agreed with the statement, we like to genderize everything, because everything is already genderized by nature. The fear of homosexuals has never been as obvious as the fear of blacks, which was expressed by J. Edgar Hoover himself, who on March 4th, 1968, explicitly said one of the goals of the counterintelligence program, or COINTELPRO, was to prevent the rise of a black messiah who could unify and electrify the black nationalist movement. I'd just like to ask you all, why was this one of his goals? I'm waiting for the government official to state that one of the government's goals is to prevent the rise of the homosexual.